Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at Mad World Tarot. And as you can see, the cards are all out on the table. The reading has been done, and indeed it has been done. I did my readings earlier this evening, started uploading them, and I've been having trouble uploading readings in the past few days ever since I did a software update on my phone. I record on my phone and managed to coax the first reading up. It took well over an hour. Second reading, no, just wasn't going to happen. And there is some glitch in the software update. Apparently, it's all a terrible disaster. It ended up with me having to do a factory reset on that phone, and I lost everything, including briefly my mind, and couldn't actually reset that phone. So I've gone back to a very old phone way back in the mists of time. It still works, it's clunking along a bit, but this reading was an interesting reading. I normally wouldn't have bothered. I would have laughed it off and gone on with my evening. But this reading said some things that I think are interesting enough to, if you can bear with me, the reading that has already been read, I'm going to do it again with the cards, the same cards. It's about the white label business. We've been looking today at As Ever. We first looked at the wine launch, the rosé, that hopefully made it up into the ether, cyberspace, wherever it's hanging around. This one's about the white label story, which we've all suspected. But finally, someone, one of those internet sleuths, managed to come up with proof that Meghan is actually taking some quite basic stuff and repackaging it and pretending it, foisting it on the public as her own. This is the white label practice. So shock horror, she's not actually making her jams in her kitchen in Montecito and her tramping the grapes underfoot to make the rosé and whatever else she's supposed to be doing. In particular, the tea. It was the tea that gave the game away. I think it was hibiscus tea. Someone much cleverer than I am, who would never lose all their data with a factory reset, someone managed to look and see code behind the scenes on the As Ever website and realized that the tea comes from Republic of Tea, which also provides the Netflix tea related to Bridgerton and I think Stranger Things and things like that. So she's been exposed. But I was interested in this story because it struck a chord for me. It seemed to be a metaphor for Meghan herself, that you take something basic like Meghan Markle, you dress it up in beige cashmere and designer labels, and you present it as a royal, you present it as a duchess, and sell it at a vastly inflated price. But actually it's just something really, really basic, something that's not even vaguely authentic, and yet she's been telling us on podcast after podcast how authentic she is. So Crow Tarot is on the table, and having a look at this, and the underlying energy that came up in this reading for me was the Emperor, and it's the Emperor in reverse. And the Emperor is the boss of the tarot, the big cheese, the suit, the corner office, that person. And she's the boss, of course, but she's not the boss. She's actually masquerading as a boss. She was asked about imposter syndrome by that Emma Greed person. She didn't understand what the imposter syndrome actually is, but she is an imposter. She's really the Emperor with no clothes, and the boss of nothing, a pretend boss. And I need to remind you, of course, it's tarot and it's for fun and entertainment, and it's all my opinion and all speculation and energy that I read here, and disclaimer in the box below, but that is my opinion, that she has been revealed as the Emperor with no clothes when it comes to her product line on As Ever. So, heart of the reading. What are we dealing with? And we're dealing with the world. That's the central issue. And the world is success, generally in tarot. And yeah, on the surface, she looks very successful, but, all sold out, all that tea sold out in 5 seconds flat. But the world is also, in these tarot readings, for me as an energy reader, exposure, publicity, all eyes on her, and all eyes can now see that she's the emperor with no clothes. Is that not interesting? So I asked the tarot in this reading to expand on this metaphor that I felt about taking something basic and dressing it up and pretending what it is, when it not only the white label issue, allegedly, let's chuck one of those onto the tarot table, the alleged white label situation that's going on, but for herself, as what she pretends to be, what she postures as, versus what she really is. And this is why we have kept this reading this evening, many hours later. It's because universe gave me the Justice card in reverse. And this tells me that there is a great injustice in what is going on with Meghan. It's not fair. It's not a true reflection of who she is. It tells me that the world is upside down, that things are out of alignment. And I got quite Shakespearean when I did this reading the first time, because the rain was lashing down and the wind was howling. It was all terribly dramatic. But it reminded me of those moments in Shakespeare where the elements kind of represent represent the situation. And in this case, the situation is all topsy-turvy. It's unfair, it's out of alignment. She should not be in this elevated position that she is in. It's not right, it's not fair. It needs to be addressed, redressed even. And there was an interesting article that was written in, I think, the Mercury News, which I think is a local Santa Barbara newspaper. I've lost all my notes, so I'm trying to dredge up. I lost the paper version as well as the digital version of all of this, trying to dredge up what I was thinking many hours ago before disaster struck. And someone wrote an article about As Ever and what a failed launch it is and how it's all pretend and it's not real. And it was very insightful. And they described the brand launch as mapping the Sussex way, as being lazy and half-baked and clueless and without a plan and without any staying power and prone to pivot. That's how it was described. Some of those words are mine. Some of the words are the writer in question. But I thought that Sussex way was interesting enough to ask Universe about it. What does Universe have to say about the Sussex way of doing things, the lazy and chaotic way? And I got an equally interesting card, the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Very similar energy to the Justice card in reverse. Six of Pentacles is about reciprocity, sharing, charity, doing good, being even-handed in your treatment of people, very like the Justice card. It's also in reverse. It tells me that they take more than they give. They take out of situations. Even the word exploit came to mind when I first did this reading. They possibly exploit other people, take advantage of other people's hard work, effort, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was a very interesting card to show up. We have major arcana on the tarot table with the Emperor, with the World, with the Justice card in reverse, and then we get a duplicate energy. The Justice card in reverse is echoed in the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is a big story. I think big enough for me to stand here telling the story again to you. And then I asked how Megan feels about being exposed, even if it's just the tea that allegedly is not royalty, but is Republic of Tea. How does she feel about it? And I got the 10 of Wands in reverse. And there is the failure to launch, quite vividly depicted by this crow with this very heavy bird and flapping its wings, and it's not gaining any elevation at all, struggling. And really what I think that card represents in reverse is that she would like to make this all just disappear. She'd like to give up with as ever. It was not something she was ever that invested in. Just as this woman, I think it was a woman writing in the Mercury News, said, this is really a Netflix thing. She's kind of been forced to do it. Netflix is bankrolling it. Netflix is providing the contacts and is sourcing the products themselves, seemingly, shall we say, allegedly. Megan's not interested. She doesn't care. She's not setting up a brand that's going to be around in 30, 40 years' time. Not at all. This is a flash in the pan kind of a situation. It's the Sussex way. Nothing is sustained. Nothing is taken seriously. No effort is put into anything. And maybe the rosé is a bit different. Previous reading. So I personally believe she's ready to give it up. She'd love to give it up. She had told us she had given up and she was pivoting to fashion, whatever else. And then Netflix said, oi, not so fast. We need to squeeze some money out of you, or at least pretend that you are more successful than we all know you really are. My final question in this reading for universe was, where does this metaphor go? How does it develop? What happens to our basic in beige cashmere? Where does it go from here? And we got the star card in reverse. And that's the falling star. Celebrity, unfortunately for the star card in these royal readings, has acquired that kind of tarnished image. And she's falling, she's fading, she's disappearing. And I felt when I first held that card all those hours ago before my world imploded, I felt that her world is on the brink of imploding. It's a metaphor, really. I feel that universe is kind of sending a message with the star in reverse sitting under the justice card in reverse, that it could quite easily just, I'm trying to find a good way of saying this. It's that's not too graphic, and it could just crush her. Let's put it like that. That star, it could just be snuffed out, and I don't mean it in a literal sense, in a ghastly sense, but that light could just be extinguished at any second. I got quite an ominous feeling when I touched that card, the star card in reverse, that I think it's game over for Megan with this little pretend. Let's pretend we're much better, we're much more refined, we're much more glamorous, we're much more worthy than we are. I think universe is saying you had your chance there. You were a metaphor, you were a lesson, an archetypal lesson, and now the lesson is over. I think the lesson is on the brink of being over with that star card in reverse. So hopefully that explains to you why I'm